Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone, actually.
I didn't change the intro.
Welcome to another episode of Where in the Folk. Hello, Gamer Kid 24. I hope everybody had a good day.
I'm glad to see somebody stoked.
Yeah, I'm glad. There's my sister in the comments. Hello, Tracy, my sister. But I hope everybody had a good day today. So, what did you all do today? Anything special?
I did a newsletter.
Nice.
You should have gotten it.
Nice. I haven't. When I'm not working, I very rarely look at anything like Facebook, text messages, phone calls, cell phone in general, computers, anything. You know, I kind of want to like escape that world completely in a way, as much as I possibly can.
I get that.
Yeah.
Thought about Wingstop.
Yeah.
Wingstop.
That was a true possibility today. So if you don't know, Nick's telling a little inside story. If you don't know, the closest Wingstop to my hometown is 1 hour and 35 minutes away. Well, 1 hour and 37. The reason I know is because my wife, every other week, is like, we should go to Wingstop. So we have to drive to Oak Ridge, Tennessee to get Wingstop. But it's not that bad.
I always wonder, you talk about going to Tennessee all the time, and it just never clicked to me until right now. Why?
Yeah. I'm literally going to Wingstop.
Okay.
It's right next to the Big Lots and the Big Million.
Good.
But,
Nick, you should share him a copycat recipe.
we're going to be talking. This is going to be a straight form, like a timeline episode. This is something a little different than what we usually do, because it's a really interesting piece of modern history. The resources that I used to put this together was the dailynews.com, allthingsinteresting.com, and criminal9s.fandom.com.
Well, it don't have enough grammatical errors to have not ran through GPT at some point.
Oh no! Actually, I used Word.
Unless you copied it directly off the websites.
I seriously didn't. I used Word Editor. Have you ever used Word Editor? Do you know that they now fix grammar errors on Word?
It has a little green squiggly line under them.
Yeah.
Cecil he's grammatically challenged sometimes.
You click on this thing and it says editor, and then it brings up these different things that you did wrong, right? And then you just click on it.
No, I just give you a hard time. It looks good. You did a lot of work on this.
Yeah.
Instead of a teacher correcting you, it's now a computer.
Yeah. I'm hoping that all the facts are
The thing
straight.
about it is that the computer's doing a better job than some of the teachers I had.
Yeah, that's true. And I still see a few errors in this, so I still got some blue lines.
Nothing can be perfect.
Nothing can be perfect. Nothing. All right. So, I mean, I guess we'll roll right into it. So, if you never heard of it, on the morning of February 28th, 1997, a peaceful day in Los Angeles, California was shattered when two heavily armored bank robbers launched into a 44-minute firefight with the LAPD. The dramatic confrontation pushed law enforcement to its limits, prompting significant changes in police procedures, all while the world watched in real time. as the chaos unfolded. So today we're going to delve into the unforgettable chapter in modern true crime history. Today we are talking about the North Hollywood Shootout. Dun dun dun. So let's see. So join us as we unravel the timeline and infamous events from the onset of the high-stakes robbery to the dramatic conclusion of the perpetrators Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Mătăsăreanu. Did you notice that I actually had to put the pronunciation of his name like right there?
I like that.
I like it.
Because I even had to look it up to listen to it to hear how it was like said.
Yeah.
So this is a story of violence, resilience, and a pivotal moment that permanently redefined law enforcement's approach to situations like the one we'll be discussing. So, how do you guys want to roll into this? I think this is the first time we've done like one that's actually laid out in this format in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some. I do have some pieces of video when you're ready for them. We can jump around on it.
All right. So before we get into the events of February 28th, 1997, let's take a moment to explore the backgrounds of Larry Phillips Jr., who's pictured here, and Emil Mătăsăreanu, who is also pictured here. And right here, they both are together. Philip.
Sexy with their shirts all open.
That's actually how I walk around in my normal day.
Oh,
it's just
Fair
like
enough.
that.
Fair enough.
Totally, if you want to read some of this, you're more than welcome to. Or Morgana, you guys got the stuff too.
Yeah, I can jump in.
All right.
All right. So first, Larry. Larry Phillips Jr. was born in Los Angeles, California on September the 20th, 1970, to Larry Phillips Sr. and Dorothy Clay. His father, who had a history of criminal activities, escaped from the Colorado State Hospital in 1969. Phillips' early life was marked by the arrest of his father in 1976, an event that profoundly shaped his personality. After his father's incarceration and his parents' subsequent divorce, Phillips and his mother returned to California. Phillips dropped out of school in 9th grade and pursued various ambitions, including bodybuilding, aspiring to emulate Arnold Schwarzenegger. In 1989, he was arrested for stealing suits. Soon after release, Phillips met his future accomplice, Emil Mătăsăreanu. Close enough. At Gold's Gym, where they bonded over mutual interest in weightlifting, bodybuilding, and firearms. Phillips too soon after married Sharon Santos, who later gave birth to his son, but their relationship became strained due to his criminal behavior. In 1992, Phillips orchestrated a real estate swindle in Colorado using an alias to defraud renters. His scheme unraveled when one of his victims, assisted by the police, exposed fraud. Phillips was arrested, but his wife used her savings to secure his release. This led to further strain in their marriage, and Phillips eventually fled before his sentencing, marrying his father's life on the run. He sought refuge with Mătăsăreanu, marking the start of their criminal partnership.
Oh.
And that's the thing, you have to wonder why Dad was in a state hospital as opposed to prison, for his activities.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot more to the backgrounds of both these guys too. If you want to look it up, there was some while doing the research on this, like there was some discrepancies between different things I was looking at, like dates of births and things like this. So I just went with what I could.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's weird that there would be any kind of discrepancies though, because it was such a big event in history. It's strange.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you wonder too how much of the backgrounds and everything did they actually have, or did they have accurately? Because back in the early 70s, it was still kind of sketchy, some of the information that you could get about people. I remember studying when I was in high school about the fact that people would go into like a Department of Vital Records and find people who had had children that had like died when they were born or shortly thereafter. And then they would take those, children and get fake IDs and stuff and start like whole new lives and stuff with them. And some people used them to defraud. They would like open, credit cards and checking accounts and stuff like that because we didn't have all the computers and stuff like we do now for them to keep all that stuff straight.
Yeah.
Better time.
I guess about somebody else's identity. I was told about a guy who got an identity one time, and he was paying child support on some woman and some kid he'd never even met.
Uh-huh. Okay, a little of an aside when you mention that. My dad worked for the Department of Transportation my whole life, and it was back before they were doing a lot with like DNA and stuff for child support. And he had one of his workers told him he needed to take the day off. And he said, "Okay, sure." He goes, "What are you taking off for?" "Oh, well, I've got a buddy. His ex is suing him for child support, so we're going to all go to court and tell the judge we slept with her too." Or the three of his friends went to court and did this and told them that they had slept with her. Got done, the judge goes, "Okay." He made all four of them pay child support. Well, one of the guys said, "Hey, I was just trying to help out a buddy." He said, "I tell you something, son, if you feed him long enough, he'll look just like you." And I'm sure that they got it overturned later, but I thought that was just epic.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
All right, so go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're more welcome. Might as well. Right here's Emil.
All right. So Emil Mătăsăreanu was born in Timisoara, Romania, and had epilepsy, which contributed to frequent headaches and struggles with his weight. His family immigrated to Los Angeles in 1974 to escape the oppressive rule of Nicolae Ceausescu. While Emil was fascinated by their new home, he faced bullying at school due to his accent and weight, leading him to develop an interest in computers and spending much of his time at home. At 16, he helped his mother, Valerie, with her state care license for the developmentally disabled adults. However, family tensions, including a divorce between his parents, led to financial struggles and the suspension of Valerie's license. In 1983, he enrolled in the DeVry Institute of Technology and earned a degree in electronic engineering in 1987. He briefly ran a business and developed an interest in firearms, but exhibited anger issues, including a violent incident with a neighbor. After providing refuge for Larry Phillips, as mentioned earlier, the duo began traveling together. In 1993, during a trip to Romania, Mătăsăreanu met his future wife, Christina, and they had a son, Emil Jr. He was a proud father, sharing photos of his son frequently. The family moved to Rowland Heights, Los Angeles, supported by Mătăsăreanu's criminal ventures with Phillips.
And that's the background.
Those are our two main players right there.
Yeah.
And for a minute there, he was on a decent path, having earned his degree and everything. And probably
he went to DeVry.
Yeah.
He could have been on Ancient
Yeah, you could get a ancient astronaut theorist degree there, actually.
That'd been fun.
So
you see those commercials all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like Virginia College down here. I don't know if y'all had those where you're at, but they were huge down here for 10 years or so, and now they no longer exist.
Yeah, there was a few that got discredited. What happens when a college gets discredited? Do you lose your diploma?
Not really, but there's no way to validate it.
Right.
Like a job wouldn't be able to call and validate it, which a lot of jobs don't anyway, but super degree oriented jobs would.
Right. Well, my daughter actually got an addition onto her degree through Virginia College. And I mean, it's still on, she's got the documentation and everything, but she doesn't even use it,
Right.
if somebody asks her what her college background was.
I need to find one that's went under and print me off a degree.
Yeah, why not?
I can do that for you.
Doctor. Let's do it.
Yeah, Morgana's got the cool card stock and stuff.
I do. I have all the stuff.
Can you make the letters, Ralph?
I can. I've got the gold foil. If you can imagine it, I can make it.
That's sweet.
You want me
Go
to
for
hit the crimes
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So during their criminal partnership, Larry and Emil engaged in a series of escalating robberies and violent encounters. On July 20th, 1993, which would have been 4 years before the Hollywood shootout, they successfully robbed a First Bank armored car in Little John, Colorado, without taking anybody out. However, on October 23, 1993, they were arrested in Glendale, California after being pulled over for speeding in a rental car. A search revealed an extensive arsenal, including firearms, ammunition, explosives, body armor, and other materials indicative of planned criminal activities. I don't know what the problem is.
That's why I got that stuff in my truck right now.
Both were charged with various offenses, sentenced to short-term prison terms, and released. Their criminal activities then resumed on July 14th, 1995, when they robbed a Brinks armored car in Los Angeles, killing the security guard and injuring another. On March 27th, 1996, another armored car was fired upon by unidentified assailants. People think that this was Larry and Emil, but it was never confirmed. Maybe they're just testing the armor-piercing nature of the weapons they were using.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But on May 2, 1996, the duo escalated to bank robberies, targeting a Bank of America branch in Los Angeles. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. And stealing $755,000 in under 10 minutes. What is that in today's money?
I don't know. Let's find out.
That's got to be double. That's
a car of groceries for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The better part of $1 million. But that was not enough. So less than a month later, on May 31st, 1996, they robbed another Bank of America branch and escaped with $794,000 through, though two tellers were injured, and they fell short of their $2 million target due to security measures. This misstep foreshadowed the infamous and ultimately fatal North Hollywood shootout. So I guess they were trying to get up to $2 million. They only got about $1 million. They fell short of $1 million per. So they got $755K on May 2nd. And then on May 31st, they got $794K successfully. I think I'd have cut my losses at that point.
Yeah.
You're set. Go invest in Google. You know what I mean? It's the 90s.
750,000 is worth 1.5 million today.
Yeah.
So they did exceed their target. They just didn't know it yet.
Yeah.
They could have threw it in a cave and came back 10 years later and waited for inflation to take its course.
Oh, and it did by 2007.
Oh, yeah. Man, I was watching a movie today, and you remember a movie when we were kids? Well, when I was a kid, totally, you might have been too young for it, and you guys were probably already teenagers. Called Blank Check. It had Sinbad.
Yes.
Yeah.
This kid gets a blank check from a gangster and signs it out for $1 million and buys $30 million worth of crap. I never understood that. So $1 million when we were kids might have done a lot, but I don't.
You'd have still had to invest it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that movie's so unrealistic. It makes me mad to this day because I was like, one day I'm going to get $1 million. If I would have got $1 million, I would spend it by now, for sure.
And it's amazing to me how that kid's mind worked for a child that age to think the stuff he bought, with his $1 million, was awesome.
And we'll overlook the fact that some 35-year-old woman kissed a 12-year-old boy on the lips in that movie.
Yeah. Well, we know how Hollywood is, though.
Yeah, we've been learning a lot about Hollywood.
Yeah, they're not above
Oh
it.
yeah. No.
So that was a
who's this guy?
foreshadowing, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And with all those fires, we'll never know. Never know.
That is
But
very true.
anyway, now we're going to delve into the heart of the North Hollywood Shootout. So we're going to get started with the timeline. On February 28th, 1997 was payday in the bustling San Fernando Valley, with over $750,000 waiting at Bank of America branches in the Bank of America branches vault, and the temptation was just too great.
Let's talk about that.
Well, let's talk.
Let's talk about the temptation. So they've hit 2 Bank of Americas already. Emil is supposed to be smart.
Yeah.
So if you've hit 2 Bank of Americas in Los Angeles already and successfully done it,
Mhm.
the thought of hitting a third, specifically Bank of America branch in Los Angeles, should have threw up red flags for somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Because
like,
they're going to be on 10, like with security.
Oh yeah.
Let's hit Chase Manhattan instead.
Yeah. They should have left and went to a different state, or went to a different place, like San Francisco, even.
San
That's not
Diego.
too far away.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
it's like you find
Like
a
that.
good easy. Like you don't really want to change brands too often. You know what I mean?
You've done so well that you just want to stick with what works.
And that's
Yeah.
fun, but Bank of America operates all over, hence the name America.
Yes.
So they could have went somewhere outside of LA, is all I'm saying. LA has tons of police. I don't know the exact number, but in the thousands for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they would have gone to and just hit like a small town bank somewhere else outside, where there was something like that. I mean, they could have reached their goal.
They were only 500,000 shy, so they didn't have to go for the biggest and the baddest.
No, they didn't. They didn't have to. I mean, this right here is where it seems like greed or just, I don't know, impatience is what actually got them on this.
Yeah.
So approximately 8,000 officers.
I mean,
And after 2 huge bank robberies like that,
Okay, is that how many are in there now?
so their goal today is to get to 10,000. Let me see.
Because it says in 97, the LA Police Department had approximately 350 sworn officers and 16 civilian in its metro division.
Really?
That doesn't that does
doesn't
not
sound
seem
right.
like
I mean, it could have been right, because you got to think.
Okay, it says that the Google AI overview, it says in June 1997, the local police departments, including the LAPD, well, that's total personnel. It's 420,000 personnel, but it doesn't say how many of those were officers.
right.
Yeah, and you got to throw into like the county sheriffs too, and the
Yes.
police or the local. So there's probably
There's no way it was 350.
I was going to say, because that
There's no
does
way.
definitely sounds way low.
Yeah, how do you go from 350 to 10,000? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That-
because I'm sure by this time, that they had already increased the police force quite a bit because it hadn't been too many years prior. You had the Rodney King riot, stuff like that.
Yeah, the riots during that time period. Yeah, there were. I don't know. I didn't look that up. It didn't even register to me. Yeah,
Well, that's why we do this.
a good
yeah.
question. I really like to know now.
There's no
Hold on. I just found the Bureau of Justice Statistics from 97.
there's
Yeah.
no way it was 350.
No, I think AI has failed me on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The power of AI.
So while you're looking it up, the pair came prepared with an arsenal that included automatic rifles and over 3,300 rounds of ammunition, many of which were armor-piercing rounds. To study their nerves for what was ahead, it's believed that they took the sedative phenobarbital. Have you ever took phenobarbital?
Not that I know of.
Me either. Let's move forward.
Me either.
So,
me either.
So they were dressed head to toe in tactical gear and heavy armor. This is a replica of what they were wearing, kind of right here. This might actually, yeah, that's basically a replica of it. And Larry and Emil were ready for war as they set out to execute their high stakes heist. So at 9:17 a.m., LA police officers Lauren Farrell and Martin Perello were patrolling near the Bank of America's North Hollywood branch when they noticed something unusual. Two heavily armed men clad in reinforced body armor entering the bank. Moments later, the sounds of gunfire erupted from within the building. And this naturally led them to recognize the severity of the situation, and the officers immediately radioed a 211 in progress call, which is armed robbery with shots fired. And backup units from across the area responded without hesitation, racing to the scene. Dun, dun, dun. Did you find out how many cops we had?
No, but I did find out that 360 were graduates. They had 360 graduates in 97.
Huh.
That's how many they had who went to the academy. So,
Yes. Yeah.
So
So I'm still looking through this report.
I'll say times that by 10 is a good estimation.
Probably. Yeah.
probably so. At least, I'm sure that would be at least a safe bet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So at 9:24, after they've secured the money and everything, Larry exited the bank from the north side doors, and Emil exited through the doors on the south side. This is when they spotted officers positioned behind patrol's car west and north of the bank. Without hesitation, the men raised their firearms and began firing just at anything. So scrambling to find cover anywhere they could behind patrol cars, trees, walls, water hydrants, whatever. And whatever else they could find. Officers began to return fire. To their horror, though, when they were hitting them, the rounds were having no effect on them. That would scare me to death.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it you?
Yeah. So, back then in 97, I more than I could probably CNN that I was be watching, but they showed a lot of this footage on TV back then whenever this took place.
Yeah.
They ran all weekend long, and for the next, it was the biggest story that took place there for quite a while in 97. So, I mean, it was common to see this footage rolling on.
Let me ask you your opinion. No, go ahead, Morgan.
9,650 sworn personnel and an additional 4,200 non-sworn. So the 9,650 is probably your officers and sheriffs and all that fun stuff.
So
for the population, that's a solid number.
Yeah.
One thing that I was going to bring up that you mentioned a minute ago is the barbiturates.
Yeah.
So again, doubling back to him being like, we're just going to assume based on, because even when you Google him, Emil, it doesn't show him for some reason as the North Hollywood shooter. If you just Google in the preview, it says electrical engineer. So a famed electrical engineer. So if he's an engineer, he's obviously somewhat intelligent, whether it be book smarts or what.
Yeah.
So my thought, so they were successful with the two. I think they knew that the third was going to be crazy. That's why they preemptively took those barbiturates, because they did not plan on a success. I think they were planning to run and gun.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense.
The only thing I can think of was they're like, there's no way this isn't going to be a firefight, because as soon as they walked in, they started firing, pop, 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 down on the ground. Like, that's not very subtle.
Well, that's not the first time they've done that, but all I'm saying is and maybe they did barbiturates all the other times too, but
yeah,
the fact that they took the medicine to help them stay upright and not feel the bullets like that, tells me they were ready,
Yeah,
like to go.
yeah. See that right there? I mean, that to me, that right there kind of goes along the lines of what the Berserkers used to do for the Vikings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can read some of those stories about the Berserkers where they might kill 40 men with whatever sword or axe or whatever they had at the time.
Spoon.
Whatever. Because the Berserkers, I mean, that was a real deal. I mean, those folks, they went into a frame of mind that the only way you could stop them was to kill them.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And
I mean,
at maybe toward the end, because I've got maybe 4 minutes of like the clips. Maybe we could react to that toward the end or something.
we'll do it when it falls in place. Just let me know when it falls in place with a timeline.
It's just it's as the shooting's happening. It's just like news, all the news coverage from the time, the helicopters and stuff.
I remember watching this. Like I skipped school that day, and I watched it on the news. Like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty rough. It's something strange to see on TV at the time, but it was news coverage. Like there was copters in there. Yeah,
it was crazy. You know, I mean, they even showed the one officer who finally got up there and released the last bullet. You know.
Yeah. And they were fine. Like they were just spraying the area. There was like deli shot, as you can see here. There's a kid holding up his coat that has a bullet hole through it. Like they were shooting just wildly into the air, like into nearby homes, businesses, and everything.
Yeah.
Just
like
spraying.
you see on those stupid shoot 'em up shows where they're just doing that number.
Oh yeah,
that just swatting.
There's a pop, like it's exactly what it was. Just if it seemed like it was like cover fire, but they was just like trying to escape. Is running and gunning like Tony says exactly what it was. Among the responding officers was a James, I don't know how to pronounce this, Bavarian, Zboravan.
Saborovin. It was Zabaro pizza. It's
He was a rookie just months out of the academy. Amid the chaos, he managed to get a shot off that wounded Phillips in the process. This is a picture of Officer Zabovan, right there.
Henceforward known as Officer Z.
Officer Z. And so Phillips turned his attention to him, obviously, and then in a heroic act, the young officer dove across unarmored officers using his bulletproof vest to shield them. While his actions did save lives, he sustained multiple gunshot wounds in the process.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Dennis Jorge Montes witnessed the chaos unfold from his office in the shopping center just west of the bank. And as the gunfire was shattered his front door and everything, the officer Z that we just talked about and detective dove into the building. Despite the ongoing firing outside, Montes, who is pictured here, standing next to his door that was shot out, actually began to provide critical care to the injured officer while this was happening.
That's cool.
So, yeah. Oh man, could you imagine the fear of everybody in that area? Like, and that would have had to been a heroic. I can't say that word. That would have been
heroic.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But because I mean, bullets are literally flying around your head, coming through the walls. They're using armor-piercing rounds. They're busting through everything.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been in the woods whenever a bullet does go whizzing by.
Yeah,
but there's not another sound quite like that.
Yeah, I've been sitting on my front porch when one whizzed by me at the side of my house. It's pretty. It sucks.
Yeah.
Does somebody want to take over at 9:31 a.m.?
I gotcha. Okay, so the two of them then moved north into one of the bank's parking lots, and they were heading towards their getaway car, which had been strategically parked in a handicap spot for quick access because, assholes do this kind of thing. And then after several more minutes of relentless gunfire, Emil, now wounded, managed to climb into the getaway car. Phillips, however, headed to the trunk to retrieve another rifle before resuming his indiscriminate shooting spree. So Phillips paced between the parked cars and the bank wall, firing at anything that moved, and then officers were forced to take cover behind vehicles, acutely aware that their weapons were ineffective at the range they were at. And, like I say, they had to have been terrified.
Well, I do want to say it. Like I've seen documentaries and stuff on this, and they had a moment here where Phillips decided to go get that other gun from the trunk, where the battlefield was completely clear. Like they could have got out at that moment. And instead of choosing to leave, he says, okay, we're Grand Theft Auto at this point, and goes and grabs another gun from the trunk.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
And there's a Paul Penzilla he made a diagram that shows like what the difference was between them and the officers as far as firepower they have.
350 on scene, right?
Yeah. They had a Beretta 95, a MK91, a Bushmaster XM15. I don't even know what that is. Top 56 is AK-47 variant, and 1,100 rounds of armor-piercing rounds is what that is. And this is what the cops had, which was far less.
Well, I think the big problem is, and this is the reason why all police in the United States now have people in their units that have heavy guns.
Well, yeah.
Because at this point, police didn't regularly carry things like ARs. And those ARs that are on that diagram didn't come until much later, after people are literally screaming like their guns aren't doing anything to these people.
Yeah. Right. And like I said, I mean, just the fact that they had gotten their hands on that many armor-piercing rounds, when that was not even common for a police department to have at that point in time.
Right. Yeah. But at that time, it was more common, was easier to get AP. I mean, that's try to find it now.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, you didn't have the background and everything like that. It just wasn't something that people, like I said, kept on hand.
I mean, they're lucky they didn't have a lot more, because they had access to all that cash to go out and buy anything they wanted to.
Right. Yep.
And back then, these weapons were not expensive.
No, and you could just literally go pay cash for, and no questions.
Yeah.
Go to a gun show. You can get anything. Just go to a gun show.
I don't even know if like the repositories existed in 1997 the way that they do now, because you barely had the internet. Even if you were a criminal, they probably had to write it down on a piece of paper and send it off somewhere.
They give you this piece of, or they did back then, and here it was a yellow piece of paper that had 20 questions, and they would tell you, because I used to know somebody who sold guns for a living, just mark no on everything. And they go click, 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 click. Now sign here, sign here. Good to go. I mean, and they filed it, but they didn't send it anywhere unless they were, requested to do so. Yeah. You just had to answer 20 questions, and they took your word. Are you a felon? No. Have you ever, are you on drugs right now? No. I mean, that's,
right.
Pretty easy.
The good old days.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that Eric Meyer joke whenever he applied for Taco Bell, and one of the questions says, "What drugs are you on?"
Yeah.
It's not if you do.
Right. Well, there was, I don't know if you're familiar with it. They used to, on one of our local radio stations, it was a syndicated show, but it was called The Dumb Crooks. And they would read off things that people had gotten arrested for. Mm-hmm. And this guy had stolen a woman's purse, just ran by and snatched it. She called the police and everything. She goes, I don't know what I'm going to do. They've got my wallet. They've got my phone. They've got this. And he goes, wait a minute, your phone's in the purse? And she's like, yeah. What's your phone number? And the guy answers it. And they're like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" "Oh, nothing. Where are you at? I'll come meet you." And dumbass sat right there and told the police where he was at. And they rode over and picked him up, So there's some stupid people in the world.
Before
All
we move forward, I want to give
Uh-huh.
anybody a chance that wants to tune out or not watch the pictures when we show them, because they are semi-graphic from this point on. Semi-graphic.
Yep. So that was our trigger warning and disclaimer.
Yep.
Okay. So civilians caught in the crossfire were scrambling for cover behind cars, clinging to any shred of protection they could find, and praying for their lives amid the chaos.
Yeah.
So
Right.
there, you've got 3 civilians that are pinned down, just holding
And
on and hoping.
Yeah, one's obviously been wounded.
Yep.
Yep.
So, they were severely outgunned, but 5 officers made the major decision amidst chaos to race to a nearby B&B gun shop to acquire additional weapons and ammunition, hoping to level the playing field against the heavily armed men.
Yeah.
That was in 11 minutes from 9:31 to 9:42.
And now we're at 9:42 a.m. on this crazy adventure of ours.
Yep. So at this time, the LAPD SWAT team arrived on the scene. Mătăsăreanu attempted to drive out of the parking lot in the getaway car, but Phillips is still walking alongside the vehicle, relentlessly providing suppressive fire with his rifle to fend off advancing officers. Yeah. At this point, he doesn't care.
No, right. He's too far gone.
And if you can look at this muzzle, like if you see that smoke, that muzzle, that's just rapid pop, 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 pop. That's what that has to be.
Exactly. And do I remember this correctly? That they had modified the guns, correct?
Probably. Yeah.
I think. If I remember what I was reading.
Yeah, they did have modified. So, I mean, they got off, those two got off around 1,100 rounds.
Yeah.
During the show.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, on that graphic that Cecil was showing, that wasn't the amount of bullets they had. That was the amount of bullets fired. So they fired 1,100 to the LAPD's 350.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's insane. Yep.
Or whatever the number was. It was like, it was low.
Yeah. Better than half as much. So at 9:53, the robbers decided to split up. Phillips was on foot. He was headed east on Archwood Street, taking cover beside a semi-truck parked just a short distance from the bank's parking lot. Meanwhile, Mătăsăreanu drove past Phillips and continued a few more blocks east on Archwood. Phillips exchanged gunfire with the officers who had taken up positions across Agnes Avenue to the east. During the intense gunfire, his rifle jammed, forcing him to draw a handgun for a final desperate stand against the advancing police.
So it was auto.
Yep.
It was. He did modify it. So
yeah,
that's confirmed. He was spraying.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. All right. So as bullets rained down on him, Phillips was shot in the hand, causing him to drop the pistol. Realizing his fate was sealed, he picked up the weapon, placed the barrel under his chin, and amidst the hail of incoming fire, pulled the trigger, bringing a violent end to his spree.
Yep.
So as Phillips met his demise, police officers began to close in on Mătăsăreanu. Meanwhile, the LAPD SWAT utilized an armored vehicle right there, all right, to execute a daring rescue operation. They safely evacuated a critically wounded officer located just north of Archwood Street, as well as 3 civilians at the intersection of Archwood and Laurel Canyon Boulevard. So,
I mean, the whole thing about that, like, it's so crazy that cops were not as heavily armed as they are now, to the point to where they had to go to a gun shop. Like, hey, we need to borrow some weapons. And it's really wild that, because the Second Amendment I feel like it's in place so that everybody has a fair and fighting ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mutually assured destruction, I think, was the
Exactly. So why would the cops not have guns that they could get in the gun shop in the area? You know what I mean?
Look, like this event in Columbine started the advancement toward the hellscape that we have today.
Oh yeah,
That's fair. That's fair, because for two people to be able to do this much in 26 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, which there was other cases before this. There was like the water tower shooter and all of that good stuff. It just wasn't as frequent.
The one of the very first ones, school shootings, was actually in Pearl, Mississippi. It happened, I think, the year before Columbine. You know, and like I said, it was not as big. There was not the loss of life that there was at Columbine, but like I said, you know, it was just a lucky set of circumstances that prevented it from being any worse than it was.
Yeah, now it's like every 4 years we have flare-ups of shooters and
well, and that's the thing. While and like I said, we know I'm a gun owner. I firmly believe that everyone should have the right, but I also think that some people are just don't need a gun.
Yes.
You know? I mean, I know people who don't need a gun. You know, so
some
as
people
a matter of fact,
are an inherent danger to themselves. You know,
yes.
Like if you have like a heavy, like I don't know, like let's say you're heavily schizophrenic or something, it's probably not the best idea.
That I have a very good friend that was in Iraq, not anybody here, that was overseas in Iraq and in Afghanistan and has severe PTSD. He is very reactive to loud noises. He does not need a gun on his side because it's his reaction, you know, when something startles him.
His muscle memory will kick in.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I actually had a gentleman tell me one time that he didn't know why I carried a gun because I was just a girl. I wouldn't use it if I had to. I'm like, it was one of those F around and find out moments before that was a saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, David Spade did something really cool in 2008. He donated $100,000 to the Phoenix Police Department so they could buy guns with it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
funding.
I feel
Funding could have been the problem.
Yeah, that really could have been. I mean, it is California.
they are definitely a lot more focused on non-gun.
I'm sorry, but if you're driving around a Tesla, then you have priority issues. Teslas are not necessary for the LAPD.
I don't want a car that I have to charge 3 times before I could get to Tully's house.
I think it's funny.
That too.
I saw somebody, their Tesla broke down and they had a gas generator charging it like out in the middle of a desert.
You know, I always said I wanted to drive one time, but it's just because I want to make my own car noises one time. Because they don't make any noises. I don't want to own one.
I just want to ride one as an Uber, and it is like the uncanny valley of cars. Like it doesn't like it's like it's like riding an electric scooter, except you're in a car.
I mean, if I was a wealthy man, I'd have one to drive around town. Like if I just had too much money that I didn't know what to do with, I'd buy one to drive back and forth through town. But you can't go on long trips in those. They like.
No. Well, you probably can out there because there are so many charging stations and stuff compared to other places.
As long as they're not overwhelming the power grid.
That's true too.
You know, I think everybody that I've ever seen driving a Tesla is like probably upper middle class. Yeah. If you've got real money, you're not driving a Tesla.
If you got real money, driving like a fully restored '67 Camaro or something.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that was my whole point with, like I said, a couple of years ago, LA purchased a Tesla for the police department. I'm like,
Great.
that's so stupid.
Yeah, we actually had a local police department in this area, one of the small towns. They actually bought is basically a golf cart.
Well, all of Duke Energy's trucks around here, most of them now are fully electric.
Your shit.
Mm-mm.
I mean, let's go ahead and give the cops all these electric cars. The way I feel about, they go really fast, but if you can go more than 120 miles, they gotta stop. Like,
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I think that they should all have a Tesla, as long as it's one of those that says this car was confiscated from drug runners. You know, because we used to have a couple of those at home. This vehicle was confiscated. That perfect.
The police in London used to have a 90s Camaro that was like that.
Mm-hmm.
No governor on it. It was completely unmarked, and I saw that thing going about 200 miles an hour one day on Parkway.
You can't get away from it. That's for damn sure. That back seat sucked too.
Oh, did
it? But yeah, that's I don't know about all that. But a lot of places have non-pursue now, like where if you get into an area, they will not pursue you if you take off running.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the edits flash the Georgia State Police, who are notorious for like running you down into the dirt if they have to. Apparently Georgia State Police is like some of the most feared police on the planet. I don't know why, but they are.
I mean, I watched a state trooper take a state trooper car up a four-wheeler trail chasing somebody around here once. They didn't make it far, but they tried.
E for effort.
They tried.
That's right.
They
can honestly say. Okay, so we were at 9:58.
9:58. Well, how long has it been since this? So
This all started at 9:24 is when they left the bank.
Shouldn't have went to Bank of America.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles.
Okay. 9:58. After driving several blocks from Archwood into a residential neighborhood, the severely injured Mătăsăreanu abandoned the damaged getaway car and attempted to hijack a passing truck. Firing multiple rounds through the truck's windshield, he wounded the driver, who quickly fled the scene. Emil climbed into the vehicle only to discover that the driver had taken the keys with him. Good for him. Yes.
That's a muscle memory thing right there, 100%.
There you go.
Oh,
yes.
You know, that spark going through the window. He's like, oh, crap.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So, as the LAPD SWAT officer sped towards him in a patrol car, he exited the truck and retreated to take cover behind his original getaway car. It was here that the final intense gun battle between him and law enforcement unfolded. And you have a picture there?
Yep.
I believe.
Yeah, right here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's close.
Well,
that's real close.
Yeah, they lit that car up too, didn't they?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And I think when we get into the footage, you'll be able to see some of that.
Mm-hmm. So after finally, after suffering 29 gunshot wounds, Emil surrendered to the police.
That's got to be a barbiturate commercial right there.
Yes, that's it. Despite his surrender, he did succumb to the injuries at the scene, marking the end of one of the most infamous shootouts in American history.
Yeah. And that was the North Hollywood Shootout.
Yep. And it left 12 police officers and 8 civilians injured, and only the 2 of them unalive.
So none of the police died?
No, that's the craziest thing about this to me. There was so many rounds being fired out. There was people seriously injured.
I think the reason they probably didn't die is because they were using armor-piercing rounds. They're so high velocity.
Straight up.
Yeah, they're probably just like zipping. Like,
Mhm.
you know, like a lot of times if you're using low calibers, the bullets dance around inside of you.
Right.
If you're using something that high velocity, it's just straight through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be through and through. And yeah. So, wow.
And that makes sense. And, you know, I mean, that's great. I mean, you know, it's rare that you hear about innocent people, you know, that don't succumb in a situation like that.
And what Tully said is true, because in the 1800s, a lot less people now, even though we hear more people die from gunshot wounds, a lot less people now die from gunshot wounds than they did in, let's say, the early 1900s or the 1800s from gunshot wounds, because those gunshot wounds would fester, the bullet gets stuck in there just because it didn't know where to go. Now it's typically straight in, straight out, because everybody likes high-powered bullets. I mean, I do. It's my favorite kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the best for wanting to end somebody's life, I guess. I worded that one wrong. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. So that pretty much, like we said earlier, it led to basically every police department up in the arms, because I think that kind of opened the eyes for all police everywhere.
Right.
To be, well, except for maybe the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
they carry butter knives. They don't.
But how many shootings do you hear about in the UK a year?
None. But also,
I mean, to be fair,
we're now talking about banning kitchen knives from grocery stores because people are getting stabbed. So that's a slippery slope.
Yes.
Oh, no,
So, I mean, there you go. If they ban knives, then people will start getting unalive with bricks and rocks and whatever else. So,
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make the argument that, you know, everybody says, oh, you bleeding heart liberal, but I'm going to make it anyway. How many people can you stab with a kitchen knife in the same amount of time? How many people can you take out with a high-powered gun?
I mean, here's my comparison.
Well, see, I can run from you in that knife. I can't run from you in that bullet.
It depends on how close you're standing
The
together.
thing, these guys shot over.
There you go, Tracy. 6.
Yeah. They didn't actually kill anybody.
Nope.
So-
That's right.
And the people who are stabbing and cutting up in UK,
There's a lot of
their numbers.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, you know, again, I am not anti-gun. I am completely anti-stupid. You know, I mean, that, like, again, there are some people who don't need any weapon. You know, and that's also my argument too with a lot of people. You know, it's just the fact that if you're not hiding anything, why are you afraid of a background check?
Well, at the same time, here's the thing, especially in America, you know, England, I don't ever think really got off the ground gun wise past the Revolutionary War.
Correct.
The cat is too far out of the bag here. There's too many guns. Like, even if you look today, California has the strictest gun laws in the United States, and look at Los Angeles. It's literally like a war zone most of the time.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I guess that's the distinction there that needs to be made, is like you don't have that much of a problem in the UK because the cat never got out like that far out of the bag. Like, there wasn't billions of firearms in the United Kingdom. You know what I mean?
Right.
And all throughout history, even starting with Cain, you know, there's always ways. People's always want to find ways to harm other people.
Okay.
And to go on the stabbing thing you're talking about in 2022 in Canada.
Don't bring Canada into this.
Well, Canada has less gunshot deaths than the U.S. But Miles Sanderson killed 11 people and injured 18 people in a mass stabbing.
Oh yeah, you know, and I liked not I like to think that was the wrong wording there. the only thing I can figure is it had to be pure shock was how he was able to harm that many people with a knife, because while he's stabbing you, I'm going to be getting the hell out of the way. You know,
people in Canada are built different.
They are. And like I said, I will never be unarmed. Like I said, I again, don't think I'm in any way, anti-gun. I mean, I know the people I live around. If shit ever hits the fan, they're going to be the ones I'm needing to keep out of my house because I've got enough sense to save food and all that kind of stuff. People are crazy. You can't take care of your own.
I kind of see where the shock would come from, but when I was like 10 or 11, I witnessed a stabbing in Clay County Days, a festival where Tully and I are from. I watched somebody get stabbed, and I didn't get scared and freeze. I just kind of stood there like, did that guy just get stabbed? Did that really happen? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, it could be one of those situations, just people's like, what just happened?
Yeah, like I said, just pure shock value.
Well, I personally have witnessed during one of my many trips to Portland. Portland is both a fabulous and terrifying place to be.
Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine?
Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, Oregon. So at downtown, there's all kinds of food trucks, like awesome food, cool people. But there was a big commotion, and I look over, and I witnessed these two fellas arguing with each other, and one of the fellas produces an axe off of his back, and the other fellow produced a hammer, like a pretty large hammer, and they start clanking them, like almost like sword fighting with them.
Right.
and you see the dude with the axe keep rearing back like this, like he's gonna go after the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, the police were abound and managed to separate these two people. But that's the kind of the kind of views you're gonna get in Portland. It's beautiful. It's cool, to go see all there's the Japanese cherry blossoms. They have a whole section of the city with those. But then you get into, two people going at it with an axe in the middle of downtown.
But,
Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, on University Avenue in Little Rock one time, there was a dude got beat up by another dude with a purse.
See, and that's what's funny. Like I said, I carry, but I have a double machete set that's stuffed down beside my driver's side seat, because that's what I wanted there. I mean, who knows? It has more than one use. I can fend off somebody, or I can chop down a small tree if I need to.
Hey, Lando.
I've effectively thought about what would happen if somebody came into the house, and I've chose that my primary is an axe, and that's what sits beside the bed.
See, up until about a year and a half ago, and I just made myself get out of the habit. Mo drives a truck. When he would come home, if he got in the bed, before he put his hands under my pillow, he would lift it up to look for knives. Because I always slept with 2 to 3 under my pillow. And I just, and that's with a gun also hanging on the side of the bed at night.
That's a crazy story, Tracy.
Yeah.
Said in Jack's Bar in New Albany, Indiana, a dude took a chainsaw to another dude. I'm assuming at the bar.
What I'm saying is people's going to find a way every time.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
For
yeah.
sure.
I know that.
But the aftermath of this whole thing was, obviously they started carrying more heavy-powered rifles. This is when the patrol cars started getting retrofitted with bigger, stronger weapons and standard gear, things like bulletproof vests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And tactical training also came along with this. Many apartments developed where everybody has to go through tactical training. Law enforcement agencies prioritize issuing more advanced body armor. California, of course, passed stricter gun laws after this. I mean, it's almost impossible to get a gun in California, I guess, nowadays. But we'll go ahead and cut to the video. I tried to avoid any video of this when I was researching it. To be honest.
I'm not gonna play the audio. I just want to kind of talk to it together.
Yeah. And like you said, this was one of the ones in modern history that was fully televised. Like you can watch it as it unfolded.
Right.
Look at
And
that.
you know, it's amazing to me that you've got all this gunfire going on and they're running upright. They're not even attempting to,
so this is
duck and dodge.
This has got to be from the helicopter. But look at you can see
Look at
he
that.
is like going to town.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. They were using 100 round drums in the guns that they had.
Wow. That's almost like the Tommy gun. Those right? Yeah.
Yeah, I got one in there.
Yeah. I'm not surprised at all.
Look at how it chewed through that wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He's just walking around and
I mean, you could tell that it's just mayhem. He's just spraying.
Look at the news reporter. The poor news reporter scared to death. He was still having to use a wired microphone.
I would not went to that. I would be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip out on this one.
Yeah.
Don't
Let
we have a
Henry go.
helicopter? First question: don't we have a helicopter? Like, can we do this? Look,
Right.
So this is where they could have got away if he had just gotten the car. I'd have been so mad. I'd have been like, dude, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I would ditched.
Yeah, because he's slowing down for him. You know,
Like,
I mean, yeah. Hey, in or out, your choice, dude. I'm out of here.
Come on, Larry, get in the car. That's horrible.
I mean,
There's
wow.
Bob Tom.
yeah. So his gun store is where they went to the police
Probably.
officer.
Yeah, that's probably P&J's.
Wow.
Right there.
That's crazy.
Does that have the switch, or was that just a safety?
That's safety. Shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's the SWAT team showing up. If they could have got out of there before the SWAT team showed up, I think they'd have got away with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That
Because
car,
at that point, they still didn't even know who they were for sure, right?
Yeah, they didn't. If they would have left whenever he got the gun out of the car,
Mm-hmm.
right here it is.
I think-
Yeah, this is it. You guys better. This is it. Oh, they didn't show it. Thank God. Right
yeah,
here.
it has to be fit for YouTube.
Wow.
And this is the final moments of Emil. They didn't show him getting the truck, though, did they?
No, so he tried to hijack that truck, is what you said.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, so there's
There
him
he
getting
is.
back out. Yeah.
They didn't show him shooting the guy in the truck.
God, so he's like shooting through the windshield at the police.
Yeah. I remember that guy.
Uh-huh.
That's
You can
always
see- You can see the window shatter there. Like he shoots through the windshield, and you can see these windows shatter when he starts spraying.
yeah. It always reminds me any firefight I see of that scene from Boondock Saints of William Dafoe when he goes, "It was a firefight." Like, I watched that recently. It was a good movie.
So he's bleeding out. Like basically, he's been shot 29 times.
Yeah, he's been shot a lot.
The barbiturates.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he was still well enough to surrender. That
Yeah.
cop's in shorts.
Yeah.
He was probably out for a jog and was like, "What the hell's going
Uh-huh.
on?"
Or a bicycle cop and
Yeah.
just happened to be in the neighborhood at the time.
Well, I mean, it's the 90s. So
And-
do you think that they were just, I mean, do you think they were like, let's take our time getting the EMS here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that he wasn't going to make it. Even if they were right there.
Well, I think he was shot mostly because of the body armor. He was shot in his extremities.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So I don't know.
Somebody made a point earlier. I think it was Gamer Boy. Emil didn't have quite the full heavy protection. I don't believe he just had like a plate or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's probably mostly extremity wounds. But yeah, that was the tale of the North Hollywood Shootout. I thought it would go longer, but we got an hour out of it, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, go.
Now, to me, it was obvious whenever they had the opportunity to flee, and they didn't take it. It really makes you wonder what was going through their minds. Was this the drugs that they had taken prior to that made them this is my last stand, I'm making it here, and this is going to be it? It really, I just wonder what a psychologist, if any psychologists have ever looked at this behavior. And
Oh, I'm sure.
I really think that something's in the possibility that Larry decided not to get in the car when he was supposed to. Fully.
They
he either got mad or something. And he's like, I'm not leaving right now or something,
The fact that they were there to me suggests that there was something mentally going on because they already had $2 million. They didn't need they didn't need the money.
Yeah.
They could have left, bought a house and some land somewhere, lived out a quiet life. You know what I mean? That's obviously not what they wanted.
They could have gone to Mexico and lived like kings for the rest of their lives.
Or a non-extraditing country.
Well, it was 44 minutes from the very start to the end of it.
That's a long fight.
Yeah, that's a lot.
They could have bought a waterfall in Zimbabwe and still had $1.9 million left.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they could have built a house on top of a mountain.
Well, I think you were right. I think that they went into this knowing they probably were not coming out. And who's to say that something did not trigger that? Their wives said, screw both of you, we're done.
I think they thought they was going to escape, but I don't know.
There's no way, dude. There's no way.
That part whenever they were in the car, like they could have potentially made a chance
they totally could. I'm saying they never went there thinking that they were ever going to leave. At least Phillips.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you wonder, was Point Break, was this one of the movies that they were inspired by or something?
There's a trilogy that I love that I know 100% had to be inspired by this, and it's Rampage. Have you ever watched that?
I haven't watched that.
No, but I've heard you talk about it before.
Yeah. It's a guy who dresses in full tilt armor and just goes on a big shooting spree, murdering a bunch of people. They made 3 of them. I think I like it because the guy that stars in his last name's Fletcher. And I'm like, hey, I'm a Fletcher.
That could have been me in another life.
Okay.
And the thing is, they were wearing homemade body armor.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the barbiturates.
What else was it?
There was they were loaded up on ephedrine.
Yeah.
And let's see, phenobarbital to calm their nerves, it says, but they also found ephedrine, another type of decongestant, which is phenylpropanolamine.
We might just have sinus issues that day.
PPA. But so they were taking downers and uppers together.
Mm-hmm. which never made sense to me.
Yeah.
But if they thought they were going to get out, or they knew this was the last run, we'll never know. And that's sad. I'd like to know what their mindset was and what they thought was going to happen. They had got away with it 2 times before.
I wonder if they recovered the $2 million.
I don't know. Didn't seem important to me at the time.
Well, I didn't see anything about it either. I mean, my opinion, they would obviously know the amount based on the robberies themselves, but it doesn't really. I never saw anything about whether they found the other money or not.
I'd imagine they found 100,000, and then the rest was probably.
Hey, I'm not hating. If I was the person having to deal with all that, I'd be taking my share. You know what I mean?
I couldn't be a cop, because if I opened up a trunk and seen like $1 million, I'd be like, "Hey, we found $10,000 in this trunk." You know what I mean? I couldn't do it. I don't think I've got the willpower. I really don't.
Well, now you're not finding money. You're
They
just finding
said the widow. Okay, this was written in April of '97. The widow of the alleged mastermind behind the violent North Hollywood bank robbery directed Los Angeles police to an Anaheim Hills home where they found several $100,000 believed to be the proceeds from the 2 previous bank heists.
several 100,000 is what
I was
it
going to
said?
say, that's not nearly how much they stole.
Yeah.
They said they found a large portion of the cash.
We found
But
800,000.
They said it was less than half of the 1.7 million that they stole.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. Yeah, I think they should get paid way more for the stuff they do anyway.
For that
yeah.
one, a bonus, I think.
And for the, hopefully the widow got some of that too.
Yeah.
I agree. She's got babies to raise on her own.
That's a lot of emotional distress they have to go through.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, was this this had to be the first televised thing of this nature? And you don't really see things like this now, really.
No.
You see chases and stuff like that, but you don't see stuff like
You
this.
never hear about bank robberies anymore.
They don't keep money there.
Well, that's also true.
They may have ATMs run out of money. You know what I'm saying?
We've moved so far away from paper currency.
Yeah.
And everybody's just got a debit card, or a credit card. Tap.
I would like to know how much money is in a bank at any given time. It can't be more than like $50,000.
Probably not.
It could be very much.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we look at this right here, I mean, the thieves, they're so good on the internet now and robbing people's debit cards and stuff like that, and taking small amounts where it takes a little while to notice what's actually going on. You really don't hear too often of people's entire bank account getting wiped out.
That's true. It's went from hitting up brick and mortar banks to finding ways to defraud people.
I actually think that I'm involved where somebody has gotten one of my card information and probably has like hundreds of other people's cards and information, and it's taking 99 cents a month because I don't know what this 99 cents is. I'm like, what the hell is that? But now I'm just like, if that's somebody doing that, good for them. They can have it.
We had a server that we had retired from using, but we kept it because we had one of those old tape backups, and that's the only thing it ran. And our IT guy came by just to do some routine maintenance and everything, and he's like, "Hey, did you know that old server's been running Bitcoin? It's got a script that's running, routing Bitcoin all over the world." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Okay, I assumed you did not know." So he said, I've taken care of it. But yeah, somebody had put a little script on it, had hacked into it and was just bouncing it. It was in there, I guess, chain of places it was bouncing, because it was when Bitcoin first really came out and people were milling it that way.
God, talk about a missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? So
that's why, crazy. I don't know. There's a couple, not that this is stock advice by any means, but it the artificial intelligence that China dropped this past week, like their Chat GPT, where the code is open source, everybody can see it. Nvidia's stock tanked like 20%.
Wow.
And part of me is like, is it? Because also that stock was about to split again. So part of me was like, maybe this is the time, but I don't know. Like just before that happened, though, some of our politicians dumped a bunch of Nvidia stock.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And they bought into another company, but I can't remember what the name of the company was. But typically, I mean, the politician stock trading does way better than the S&P. Like, way better than professional advice.
Didn't you tell me there was an app for that?
There is. Yeah.
You need to shoot that to me.
You can follow politicians trading, and you probably should, especially like congressional members who are being lobbied. But yeah, Nvidia tanked. But I'll tell you a big one to watch too is if they shake hands with the devil and let Oracle buy TikTok. Oracle's stock will explode. Like if they start, like Larry Ellison, if he gets a hold of it. He's kind of like, I mean, he's coming to a little bit more light now, but that dude is the things nightmares are made of. Like ex-CIA, Oracle got started as a CIA company. But yeah, that's something, if you are looking to make unethical money, Oracle very well could end up with TikTok. And I would say as soon as signs start to be out there, that may be a good stock to look at buying. I mean, that could double if they end up getting TikTok. But
I want to.
It looks like the North Hollywood Shootout was the first major crime that was televised
like that.
Yep.
I want to give an update to the Doug Harley stuff that's been going on.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
If you've been watching recently, for over the past since Christmas, Doug Harless was a man who was I don't know how to put it politely. He was killed by the police. We don't know the full story yet. Some things seem shady about it, and the shadiness continues. There was somebody that did a records request and was getting a FedEx package, and when he went to pick up his
it was like
FedEx
a FOIA
package, the person said, "Well, those two men over there have it." And he looks over and he sees this. Let's see.
It was basically a FOIA request.
These two fellas, this is on the news, by the way. I just lost all sound. Are you guys there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. I can't hear you guys, but I'll continue. So these two guys right here were actually there redacting information. They had took his package, opened it to redact the information, and the guy had turned it into the FBI and asked, "Hey, is this a crime?" And the FBI has apparently said, "Oh no, that wasn't a crime." So it's illegal for them to take a sealed package of yours, open it, redact the information, and then put it back. And while you guys talk about that, I'm going to try to fix my audio.
Well, I do want to say that it's not surprising. So in the same town, there is an actual FBI station. So it's not like the FBI is some far removed thing in this particular town. And I think part of the reason why all the things that are happening with the police and local politicians are happening, you have a main state police post, an FBI post, and the local county police within a quarter mile of each other. So they're heavily integrated. So it doesn't surprise me one bit that the FBI would be like, there's no problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just on the subject of the FOIA request, I know a guy who started filing FOIA request on Sasquatch. He didn't get very much information at all. but he did start getting audited every year.
Nice.
Every
That's how that goes.
there were times when he would be on his computer and his cursor would start moving when he wasn't touching his cursor. Somebody else was into his computer for him when he was on it. It even happened to him at work. I mean, this was so that's kind of crazy, you know, with the FOIA request. And this guy,
the fact that they're sitting there in the FedEx office redacting it with a marker, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, like, these were two people that worked at the 911 station. They literally just walked into FedEx, opened a sealed package, apparently, redacted the information, then reached it to him. So there you go.
All right. Well, what information requested?
There was a call between the judge executive to the London police the day after. And is just basically the transcript of that, which I've heard that full call already. And a lot of people have, so I don't know what they were redacting. Everybody's already heard most of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's
obviously there's something damning there. I mean, why else?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you haven't been on the entire story.
What it is, he wanted to see who leaked the audio. He wanted to see who released audio between the judge executive and the police person. So they probably redacted the person's name that released audio, which is what he filed the request for. Huh.
So this is the same town where the guy was in the woods missing. They couldn't find him, and then found him like right over the hill where they were looking for him 5 days later.
Which is also super suspicious.
It was 2 weeks later.
Okay.
It was 2 weeks, but it was in the same like area that they were looking the whole time. Yeah.
So the same law enforcement people.
Same exact law enforcement.
And they didn't find them either. Two random people found them.
To me, Kentucky's, I don't know. I mean, not knocking Kentucky at all. But I mean, that seems unusual to have that many agencies that closely linked together.
Well, in the next city over the very next city over is where Cecil and I grew up. And back in the 2000s, almost every single elected official in the county went to prison. Literally, like for different forms of corruption.
One of my really good friends' dads.
There was one of them that was hiding machine guns in a children's, like the claw machines, was hiding machine guns in a claw machine at Walmart.
Wow.
He didn't go
Didn't y'all just have a police officer kill a judge too?
Yes.
No, that wasn't us. That was further down. Jackson. Right. It was in Kentucky, but it wasn't
right.
It was about 2.5 hours away.
Okay.
But they're saying that there's possibility he didn't do it, even though there's videotape. I don't know if that's him or not. No, they're saying that he did it for a certain reason. There's a lot of crazy stuff behind that too. That's actually died down.
Okay. All right. I just, for some reason, I remembered Kentucky, but I couldn't remember if it was in the same spot as you're at.
Yeah. We don't always make the news, but when we do, it's something fucking crazy.
Well, there's so much stuff, too, that should make the news that just doesn't because of the infrastructure. You know, it helps when you have letter agencies in your back pocket.
Oh, yeah.
This right here, this thing with Doug Harless would have never hit the news if people hadn't pushed it.
Yeah. Well, like say you've got somebody leaking information, so you know, because they feel like this needs to be out there, obviously. Yeah. So, you know, thank goodness you do have whistleblowers sometimes that.
And you know, it's something.
Well, the only reason they would have, in my opinion, the only reason they would have redacted that, if that is what they were redacting and not like something super damning, it's probably like. You know, it's kind of the good old boy system. So it's like, you know, we don't want so-and-so's son to ruin his life because he whistle blew audio.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, at this point, they've been so strange about it. I could care less what was going on inside the house at this point to make them do that, because
Right.
they've been so shady about everything. And I get it; it's an investigation and things like that, but it all was over a weed eater,
Mhm.
Yeah.
a fucking weed eater.
That we know of. That we know of.
Serving a warrant, which I still don't think anybody's came up with the warrant, at 11:52 at night, before Christmas Eve, for a weed
Yeah.
eater.
Yeah.
Like you're going into a cartel house.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, since we
And-
go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna get us off topic. Go ahead.
No, you
No,
go-
that's good. I'm listening really more than anything because that whole situation's still shady as hell.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say there are some videos that I totally did not get to play yesterday and was interested if you guys may want to watch a couple
Yeah.
crazy videos.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, we're just since we've got the crew together,
Yeah.
did a few extra things. I'm not going to get into any articles, but there's some crazy videos that we didn't get to play yesterday, like this one. So this is a
Oh,
one of those
yeah.
one of those exhibits where the mermaid gets in with sharks and stuff. Check this out.
Let's see this.
Oh, whoa.
She manages to get out, and there's no
Oh, yeah.
there's no blood in the water.
Wow.
I thought that was just scary more than anything.
Yeah,
Like,
I
nope.
would never go back. I'd never go back in.
No.
It would be time for a new career after that.
Well, I was always told don't go in certain areas because there are sharks. So why the hell would I get in a tank with a shark?
Knowing that they're in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, these aquariums, they keep things so fed, like so overfed, they're just lethargic most of the time. I'd say that was probably their thought.
And the shark probably said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done.
So this next one is alleged paranormal activity. Watch the fork in this bowl, and maybe let's think about how this could be conned. So this person's
Fishing
saying
wire.
they're saying they've been having paranormal activity. They said they got goosebumps.
That looks so much like fishing wire. Like it
I
looks literally like it's been going.
I understand, but like I don't see you can see, you would be able to see it against this, I would think, or the bowl. It's not scraping the batter off the bowl.
Yeah, it's I don't know, unless there was a magnet or something on the back.
Look how I don't know. It's just so fishy. Look how he's holding his index finger, and look how it's swaying like it's almost on a string. That just seems fishy.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's really when the fork swings back into the bowl. If it were on a wire, it should be scraping the bowl.
Yeah, it should be.
I just don't know about it, buddy. that one right there is not a solid thing of evidence for me, sir. That's not concrete.
I agree.
Insane.
I agree.
But the question is, how are they doing?
How are they
Dude, you
doing
should pull up. You should pull up last night's Weird Awakenings, and let's look at that.
it? You're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, I sent you a timestamp. I wasn't exactly sure.
Yeah, we pulled it up. There's something weird there.
It was from 7:18 to 7:50 because I wrote it down when Cecil said
Yeah.
it.
While you're doing
don't
that,
know.
though,
Yeah, 7:26 and 7:27. That's when I actually heard it.
while you're doing that, Cecil, here's a weird look at this cloud burst.
Look at that cloud shape.
That's,
What the hell's that?
What is that?
And I don't know, who knows with AI the way it is. Like,
Hey, Alan.
hey, Alan,
yeah.
I don't know if
I've
we've
never-
seen the same thing that you've seen, Stephen, but oops. I need to turn the audio off on that. I don't know if we've seen the same thing you've seen, but there was something strange happening. What was the timestamp again?
7:18.
Yeah. Well, the timestamp that I sent Telly was like 7:20. The time on my phone was showing 7:26, 7:27. So I don't know if y'all started on time or a few minutes after 7 or what.
Yeah, we I think we played around with it last night and kind of got it refined to the weirdness.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's totally like a mist.
Yeah, we want to see if your weirdness was the same as the weirdness.
So this is going to be in Jody's screen. I know that I should put it in over here and make hers singled out, but we ain't got time for that. And what you want to do is look right here, right through here. This is what I seen, Steve. I don't know what you were talking about. This might have been it, but there's some kind of distortion that starts happening right here.
Yeah.
And in a few moments, oh, my computer's starting to slag. Ah, crap. I bet the internet's going down because Mandy's watching Rumble.
It wasn't. The video's not lagging on our end.
See, and you can see there's like a streak in the paint that kind of blurs out.
And I don't remember where it's at, but there's one time where it flashes and it looks like a shoulder right here. It's before this. It's weird. Because if it was something to do with the camera angle or something, you would think that would be affecting other sections. But it was really strange. Let's see.
I think comments are coming in weird tonight too.
Yeah.
Delayed, like really delayed.
Yeah. What did you see, Stephen?
Well, I was just putting it in there whenever I was hearing her stuff going off,
Yeah.
And during this right here, I was basically, I had my phone sitting down on the bleacher where I was glancing at it.
Yeah.
Well, so we caught a moment where it's like Cecil said, you saw a mist behind her head.
Yeah.
And then you could see a mist like almost float past the wood on the mantle.
Because, like I said, you can see that one streak that's in the paint that kind of disappears for a minute. It's like something's going across it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was weird. It was strange.
Yeah, that was really interesting. That with
that, and I mean, how many times did the music box go off?
Yeah.
I mean,
Lots.
multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah, in situations like that right there, I mean, the fact she's got that kind of activity going on all the time. I mean, that's pretty interesting. And the part that it felt like, I'm sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
That it seemed like it was just a bunch of other ghosts or whatever that showed up whenever she brought all these other people in. It was too much for me to type last night, but are these other ghosts or whatever? Are they attached to the people who came into the house?
I don't think so. I think that the way it sounded from what she was talking about, and then I read some more about the area she is in, there are multiple buildings right there within a mile or so of where her house is that also have paranormal activity.
Well,
so I think it's a pretty, big area.
something Clarence and I were talking about after the show is, how we always talk about the houses that look like that where we grew up are all in crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, she's at an intersection.
He sent me a Google Maps afterwards. She's like, I don't know. He sent me a Google Maps afterwards. It's literally in a crossroads.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
100%.
I was going to ask you if you'd looked it up or not.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Like
But,
right here it is. Right. It's literally in the crossroads. That's it right there.
It's like a corner lot in a crossroads.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and another thing too, that before we actually went live last night, she had her dowsing rods out, and Samuel, the protector of the property that she talks about, was actually communicating with her.
Yep, she called him out, and he, I guess, slowly closed the rods, and then she's like, "If it's really you, open the rods," and the rods opened.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
there was definitely some paranormal.
The music box was fucking trippy.
Oh yeah. I was hearing the music box on the show during the show last night. I was hearing it.
Yeah. It was so funny though, because I literally just got through listening to a book this week that the girl, she was a medium, and she said, okay, if I hear any music boxes go off just, without provocation, it's going in the trash compactor. And then she goes, oh, okay, I've got a music box set up there for here.
Yeah.
But the guys have an invitation to go down and hang out with her even before she becomes
I really want to do that. That could literally be a day trip, like a go down one day, come back next day.
I'm not doing that, dude. I'm not making a 9 hour overnight trip.
9 hours for you, 6 for me.
The way I'm planning on doing it is like going and spending one night in like Gatlinburg, and then going down and spending the night there, and then maybe coming back in one shot.
Yeah, I'm done with that. That would be fun. I really want to go down there. That would be such a good time.
Well, we can talk about it. I think it would be a really cool like fall trip, like dog days of summer, like August, September.
Yeah.
It's the exact same distance from my house to there as it is from Morgana's house to there. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we could
to the minute.
To the minute, yeah.
We could converge. We just have
she may not know what she let herself in for there.
Yeah, we could just plan a day like in August, September when everybody's free, and just make a weekend out of it.
I tell you what, you guys, y'all go do that and do a live show from there.
That'd be fun.
And then everybody could see what's actually happening while you're there.
Oh yeah. I did want to say, for anybody that made it to the end of the show, let us know what kind of guests you want us to get on the show.
Yeah.
Like, would you want more paranormal folks? Would you want which we would probably have paranormal folks on Awakenings, but like for this show, do you want people who are like Nephilim experts or Anunnaki experts or conspiracy, or we could find somebody to talk about true crime or you name it.
Yeah.
But if you've listened this far, I know Easy will probably be listening to this on the way to work or something. If you know of somebody that would be cool, or cryptids, like we know a lot of cool cryptid people.
One of our favorite people is a cryptid person.
That's true. Stephen himself is a cryptid people. So, but really like specialists on specific cryptids is what I mean. Let us know what kind of guests you want us to get on. We've got a couple, on the hook. There's a really cool person in Canada that I'm trying to get on to talk about artificial intelligence hellscapes, which I think would be a cool episode.
We tried to get the guy from the Missing 401 on, but he made fun of our YouTube numbers.
That's true. That's true. But you know what? It wasn't him. It wasn't him. It was his It was his admin. And he took a screenshot of our YouTube numbers, and he's like, "Is this you?" Asking me. Yeah. But
if the actual guy is listening, you need to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
All Phil wins.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and I always try to present it to people like we're an indie show. We just like talking to people, and we like that you guys come and listen. It's not we're not making anybody tens of thousands of dollars by being on our show. We just want to talk.
But I'm just going to say this. Jonathan Mayberry and if you're not familiar, he is a very well-known writer. He wrote one of the X-Files shows that was made into a movie. He's done Predator stuff. I mean, he is very well published. He is very well known. Was on Bethany's show. Just because, he's an indie writer, she's an indie writer, and he's not too good for, the little guy.
Hope.
So
There's hope.
I get it, though. I get it. It's all good.
We can
can
always get Sam on here, but I think that would be a head exploding episode for sure.
That'd be fun. But I mean, I get it 100%. Yeah, I understand.
But hey, when we get famous, we're not going to be that way.
No.
No.
We'll come on anybody's small indie podcast.
That's
I'll
right.
go on podcast. I literally have been on other people's podcasts quite a few times. I'll do it right now if you got one. We'll talk some
I
more.
met these two amazing guys by going to their podcast about 4 years ago.
Yep.
And, here we are.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Never regretted it. Never looked back. And then we drug Stephen on with us.
Yeah, we are. We get tens of views, actually.
Tens of them.
That's
No, some episodes do numbers. Like we had quite a few people watching when Stan was on. We've had some big shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kumbo episode did real well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if there aren't but 10 people on here, I'm still here and I'm having a good time.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
We did that for 4 years.
That's right.
And that's why 10 people just dropped off.
That's in Twitter numbers.
Yeah. John Cena follows us on Twitter.
John Cena actually does follow us on Twitter, which is stupid.
Yeah, you should reach out to him sometime.
Yeah.
He could be interested in this kind of stuff. It might be his thing.
He's busy tonight winning the Royal Rumble.
I do want to say that Gary Wayne follows us and some of his folks. It'd be awesome to get Gary Wayne on here.
Yes, it would.
I need to socialize. But yeah, we're working on some guests and stuff, and obviously we'll keep doing topics as they come up. But it's always fun having like a stand on here where you can just listen, and learn. And
he has this last episode, Stan kind of ruined my life a little bit. I've been on Good Word a lot,
dude,
like a lot more than I've ever been on it. What was it? The Neptune Key. Yeah.
Yes.
That's nuts.
Like that blew my mind. Like all the satellite views and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I heard that they tore down Bob Mackey's.
Yeah,
they're not rebuilding it, right?
They are.
They are? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They covered the pit though. They covered the pit.
Did somebody see Tully coming out?
No, they covered the pit, but I think the tunnel still exists.
Okay.
So.
Oh wow.
But so I do too. I enjoy listening to other people. Jody last night, I loved listening to her. That was her first podcast ever.
And I'm so glad that the audio cut out when the viewer count was trying to be said, because she would have died.
Yes.
I was lucky. I mean, I think we were all lucky. Like our first ever podcast had one viewer.
Yeah.
And, we're all really used to sort of publicly speaking at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that she got to have an original experience.
Yes, absolutely.
She was really cool. I like her a lot. I can't wait until she gets everything done with that place.
Makes a fried chicken, biscuits, gravy,
and pineapple upside down cake.
Pineapple upside down cake.
And you guys know you all know I have a horrible memory. What's the name of the place again?
It's named. It's three
Hang on.
names.
It is the
I have a horrible
Fuller something.
Monroe's in there.
Fuller
Yeah.
Monroe.
Fuller
Yeah.
Monroe something house.
Fuller Monroe something else.
Reed. Fuller
Yeah.
Monroe Reed house.
But I think it was Fuller was the
Fuller Monroe Reed. Yeah.
the Fuller was the actual Civil War person, I believe, though,
Yes,
that built it.
and he built it for his daughter.
Yeah.
Yep. So, because he built it for his daughter. She and her second husband and their kids moved in, and then after he passed, the mother moved in with them.
I do have a
7 generations of that family lived in that house.
remind me after the show. I have an Easter egg of that house that she definitely wouldn't be able to say on air.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm looking at this right now. Was that house originally green?
I don't know. Did she say she was painting it purple?
Purple
Yeah.
with white trim and dark purple trim. I can't
I bet
wait
it looks
to see
slick,
it.
dude. I bet it looks slick.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you
That's
know,
such a
Mo and I
good
go
vibe.
in rounds because I keep telling him I'm going to paint the front door purple. And he's
Stop.
like, "You are not painting the front door purple." And I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'm going to do it." He's going to come home one day and the front door is going to be purple. There's nothing in my house purple, but my front door is going to be.
I don't know. Well, I'll say this: if you're out there listening and you don't already follow us on Rumble, we're trying to build a following on Rumble. It's hard to get things, and maybe I just don't know. I haven't cracked the code yet, but sometimes it's hard to get things circulating out there on Rumble. But we prefer that to YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, go follow us on Rumble for sure. And if you got Spotify, just go over real quick and just give us a follow on there too, just to help us out a little bit. If you got Apple Podcasts, comment something. Drop us some breadcrumbs now. Come on. But you can definitely follow us. You follow us everywhere. BitChute, I've given up on BitChute. I started trying to upload stuff and it kept failing. And I got so mad I almost threw my laptop against the wall. So
we'll try again in a couple months.
We'll try again in a couple months. It's only like 40 episodes behind at this point.
But yeah, for us, I think I was actually talking about this a little bit last night. It's obviously we don't make any money from this. We just like talking to interesting people. But if we're talking and we put together shows like tonight, it's awesome to actually have people that want to like share or listen to us.
Yeah.
So that's really the reason for the follow, is just so that we can reach.
Yeah. Reach some more. And next week, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be back with covering some news articles for y'all. I dropped the email address in the YouTube comments where you can send us some articles, or if you want to be a guest, or if you know a guest you want us to try to get, you can send us an email there. It's witf@gmx.com. And what's happening next week at 8 p.m. Eastern on Weird Awakenings?
Strange death cults.
Strange death cults.
Death cults.
Yes.
Death cults.
The Latter-day Saints. I'm going to die on that mountain.
Yes. And I'm not going to mention it. If you don't mention it,
I'm coming locked and loaded.
all right.
LDS. But thank you all for watching us, because we are watching you.
Peace.